Hello everybody and welcome to the start of a brand new Let's Play. So I'm going to try to get into the habit of having two series running at the same time like I used to back in the day. So this is Victoria 3. I think it's, sort of finally in a position where it might actually be an interesting series or a game to actually do a series for. When it first came out, I think it still needed a bit of work. I've sort of checked in on it a little bit with each of the DLCs that have come out. When I checked it out a couple months ago, barring a few issues, I thought it was basically ready, but then, it had a new DLC coming out and I didn't want to start a series that was going to require me to roll back my game version and whatnot right away. So decided we'll just hold off until the DLC comes out and then we'll check it out. But then the DLC got delayed, and so that's why Suzerain is going right now. Obviously, like I said, I'm going to try to have two series running at the same time, so Suzerain is still going to be ongoing. I'm just recording a couple of parts of this series to get us started. I've got in a sense, a little bit more free time now from my job, which helps because I actually get company holidays off now rather than being forced to work them. Well, I say forced, that's not strictly true, but you know what I mean. But yeah, so got a bit more free time now. As you can tell by the title, my plan for this series is actually sort of redoing our Victoria 2 series in a sense, mostly just because, granted, I've played this several times, so I kind of already know how it goes, but nonetheless I think it's an interesting concept, just because of the differences in game mechanics between Vicky 2 and Vicky 3 for how you handle Austria. Because the reality is, if you watched my Vicky 2 series, if I remember, I'll have a link to the playlist down in the description just for anyone who wishes to go back and look at it. That series didn't necessarily go fully the way I wanted it to in some ways, but in other ways I think it was a very interesting series with some very interesting situations that occurred, similar with series I did in EU4 with the extended timeline mod way back in the day, where we played as the Byzantine Empire. Yeah, I very vividly remember constantly being at war with France and Russia. That's not really going to be a concern for us here as Austria in Vicky 3, because unlike Vicky 2, where allies, in my opinion, are generally worthless when you're a great power, in Vicky 3 they're actually very useful for us against Prussia, because Prussia's kind of annoying to fight, especially when it comes to the point in time where you're trying to get when you're launching your unification play. Granted, there's things you can do to sort of take Prussia out of the equation at that point, and your main issue just becomes France. France is itself also a royal pain in the ass to deal with, in my opinion, at least in some versions of the game. I feel like they're a bit easier somehow in this version, and I'm not quite sure why, but I've not had issues taking and occupying Alsace and pushing into Paris in this version of the game, while with previous versions of the game it was a royal pain in the ass to break through here. I don't know why it's different all of a sudden, but it feels easier now for some reason, and I'm really not sure why that is. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and actually, launch into this. Never actually bothered reading this before. Austria, depending on who you ask, the Austrian Empire is in a period of either perfect balance or worrying stagnation. Revolutionary movements are suppressed across the nation, but will this status quo last forever? We will be playing as Kaiser Ferdinand von Habsburg. We do have a son. He's not listed here. We don't have great literacy at only 33%. Compare that to France with 45, Prussia with 44. I mean, we're better than Russia. But that's not saying much because, this is 19th century Russia, they weren't exactly known as a pinnacle of education. But yeah, let's go ahead and actually get started, and we can talk a bit more about this. So I do want to note, I do have a couple of mods. The biggest one that I think is of any real importance in terms of game mechanics is the, what was it? Liberate country as subject, I believe is the name of the mod. Basically allows you to where when you declare war on somebody to liberate a country, after the war, you are given a choice as to what you want to do with them. You can just let them go and rule themselves like would normally happen in vanilla, or you can choose to make them a protectorate, a puppet, or I believe dominion. Or maybe you only have the 3 choices. I don't really recall. I'm blanking on it right now. I've never really paid too much attention to be completely honest with you. I basically always choose puppet if I actually cared about the country in any capacity. And there's one very clear instance where we're going to be actually doing that in this series. But yeah, let me go and actually get my timer started now. Usually I will admit that when I play this for myself, I typically play on speed 5 and just kind of speed through everything. We're not going to be doing that for this series because that's not exactly enjoyable to watch, of course. I'll probably mostly be playing on like speed 4. First thing we're going to research is general staff, because I want to get skirmish infantry ASAP. That'll help us significantly in our war with Prussia, because we're going to be going to war with Prussia pretty damn quickly. For a variety of reasons, but the biggest one is just because I want to liberate a certain part of the country. For anyone who has played earlier versions of Vicky 3, if you were Austria and you were looking to weaken Prussia, there were 2 countries that you basically wanted to get inside of your market. Those were Bavaria, and if I recall correctly, the other one was Hesse-Kassel here. Probably butchered the name. I suck with a lot of German names, so don't come into this expecting me to actually pronounce stuff correctly. You will be sorely disappointed. But these were the 2 countries that you wanted to bring into your market, because by doing so, you would cut off the western part, the western part of Germany, or Prussia rather, from the eastern part. And well, guess where a large chunk of Prussia's industry is? Oh, shocker, it's in the Ruhr and the Rhine. Who'd have thought? So by cutting that off, you would significantly weaken Prussia. You would cripple their economy, and it would take them quite a while to sort of try to rebuild, in a sense, of getting all that stuff over here onto the eastern part of the country. That is not very effective anymore. One, because I think they actually changed the borders a little bit of these states. So Hesse-Kassel here no longer actually splits Prussia in 2 like it used to. And also, well, you don't have the ability to invite people to your market anymore. So yeah, that strategy no longer works. But by doing that, you would be able to weaken Prussia. They'd become a secondary power. You could then potentially, after launching your leadership play, bankroll, improve relations, all of that with Prussia to improve relations enough to where you could peacefully potentially turn them into a puppet. Well, not even necessarily turn them into a puppet. You didn't actually have to go that far. You just had to get them to like you enough to where they would support you for German unification, and then you'd only have to deal with France. You can still sort of do that in some ways now. It's just this exact strategy is a little bit different. First things first, like I was saying, though, we're going to want to improve relations. Well, I don't think I actually said it, but Russia is going to be our main ally for a good chunk of this campaign, at least while we're on the road to forming Germany. Because France is not really useful to make as an ally for the simple reason that we're going to have to go to war with them anyway to take Alsace. So no reason to be friends with France, really, honestly. They don't contribute much to Prussia, in my experience, in this version of the game. So we're going to stick with Russia as our best bud. We're going to get along swimmingly. Let's see. You already have a rivalry with Russia, so we're going to go ahead and declare a rivalry on the Ottomans to get us started there. We do have a couple of things we want to do here in buildings. I don't really care if it's not necessarily efficient for some of these places. They're going to make the change anyway, and they're going to learn to like it. Butchering tools, get you those. Keep that as is for now. Give you your saws. Yep, there we go. That's all nice and dandy. Now we're gonna want to, I think, try to get ourselves started a little bit with a bit of a steel industry. Is it needed right this second? No. Is it going to be needed shortly? Yes, very much so. So we're going to go ahead and, well, this doesn't show it. Shoot. So some of these regions have some stuff. There it is. This improves. Okay, so the reality is none of these are particularly useful for our needs. Yeah, it doesn't really matter significantly. So let's go ahead. Let's just get a steel mill. We're going to build one here in Styria, or however it's pronounced. We're also going to go ahead and queue up a motor industry over here in West Slovakia. We're going to need to get a hell of a lot more iron mines going, because iron is going to suck up a lot of our construction, or rather budget. I'm going to go ahead and come out right here. We are probably going to be losing money for basically the entirety of this campaign. But don't worry, some amount of debt is totally is going to be swell for us, which, I mean, to an extent it is. You don't want to get maxed out reserves. It literally benefits you zero to have a maxed out reserve. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and we're going to want to build a couple of iron mines. Now, I'm not a big fan of building mines in northern Italy because, unlike in Vicky 2, where Italian succession is just sort of a one-time thing to worry about, it is a constant issue for us in Vicky 3. So we are going to be constantly losing control over Lombardy, Venetia, and South Tyrol here. Just constantly. I think Istria as well, actually, I believe, are the four that you always lose control of when, what is it? San something, I'm blanking on the name right now. But nonetheless, we're going to go ahead and build two of those in Lombardy, and we're going to queue up one in our puppet Krakow. We also are going to want to have a lot of coal mines, because coal is also going to be something. Well, actually, not so much the coal itself, I guess. Let's go set up some tooling workshops. Southern Transylvania is a nice place to build those, I'm sure. Speaking of northern Italy, we're going to want to move our Kriegsmarine to the Balkans HQ. That helps us to minimize them constantly disappearing whenever northern Italy decides to go into revolt. Okay, we need to import some more grain because it's expensive, evidently. It is very, very expensive, apparently. So we're just going to import as much grain as we can from everybody who has grain to spare. We're also going to look into getting some more paper. Paper is going to be very important for us as well. Let's go ahead and import. That looks like that's enough, I guess. We also need to get and improve our government administration, because we have a bunch of places where we are well past our taxation capacity, and so we are losing money. A fair bit of money, in fact, even. We are losing 6.42k in unrealized taxes in Bohemia, because we are way over our taxation capacity. 4.10%, or not percent, thousand in Transdanubia. So, you know, this is, yeah, we're gonna need to work on that. We're also gonna need paper to do this well, so yeah, that's gonna be fun. Let's, we're just gonna start off a bit on the cheap side here for that stuff, so slowly work our way up. The petite bourgeoisie apparently already like us right here at game start, which is useful to an extent because that gives us a bit extra bureaucracy, which we're gonna want a lot of. Yeah, lots of uses for bureaucracy. Oh yes, of course. This is a nice, easy journal entry to deal with. Let's find our art studio. Where are you, art? Where are you? This is not an alphabetical order. I don't like that this is not an alphabetical order. Thank you, alphabetical order. Very helpful. Let's go ahead and queue up a second one real quick in Austria. We will then subsidize these if they're not already. They are not. Okay. And then this will very easily get us this journal entry for, you know, what it's worth. It's not a ton, actually, really. But whatever. We'll take it. We're gonna hide the political lobbies because they're not that important to us right now. There we go. The Ottomans declared a rivalry on us as well. Yes, the Schleswig-Holstein question is a bit of a pain to deal with as Austria, because you obviously don't have a land border with Schleswig-Holstein or Holstein. Both of which are, well, both iterations of it. You know, one is Schleswig and the other one is Holstein. Are puppets of Denmark, so we would need to build up our navy to get there. And unfortunately for us, in my experience, often what ends up happening is Great Britain says, "Bad Austria, how dare you attack the Danes?" And so we then have to deal with that. Let's propose a trade agreement real quick with the Russians. This will appease our Austrian-Russian Union political lobby, which is great because then they get more approval for us in here, which then helps us out further. Because if we can get these guys to +10, then we will get a nice, fun +30% prestige for what that's worth. It really doesn't matter significantly. That mostly just kind of impacts our rank on the leaderboards, which I don't really care too much for beyond, well, at least right now it really doesn't matter. And I don't care for the landowners. They're not a fun group to deal with, in my opinion. Okay, we still need to continue improving there. We could improve stuff with the army, or well, the armed forces, because they're not a big fan of the Prussians. So if we could declare an embargo on the Prussians, that will help us out a little bit. They are already giving us the +10% military research speed. If we get them up to +10, we can get a +10% to offense and defense. Of course, we could do that as well by just increasing the budget, but that kind of requires having money, which unfortunately we don't have oodles of. We can get a little bit there by passing some consumption taxes on the luxurious goods, because who needs luxury? Make sure not to place consumption taxes on the stuff that is important for the common man, like grain and regular clothing. Unless you're looking for a revolution to happen, which we will have plenty of, without any real effort on our part to actually contribute to those. But there we go, that gets us a little bit of money coming in. Not enough to comfortably raise our budget in any capacity, but hey, it's something for what that's worth. I would love to go to iron frame building because it would build faster, but we... Oh, maybe. Maybe? Can we eke it out? I think we can. Never mind. We're able to just barely eke that out. That's wonderful. Now this steel mill is going to literally do nothing because there's basically zero market for steel in the entire world. I'm pretty sure right now. Steel, where are you? Pretty sure I'm scrolling right past you because I'm blind as a bat. There's iron. Where the hell is steel? Are we not showing steel because we're not producing any or something? Is that it? I feel like that's a silly reason to not show me steel. But what do I know? No, whoops. Okay, we'll do it this way then, game. We'll do it this way. Steel. No, that doesn't really do it for me at all, actually. Yeah, this just doesn't show you steel if you're not producing it, which I think is silly because that's kind of helpful to be able to see, in my opinion. If I wanted to use it to influence my... Okay, let's just look at the British market then, because then we can see steel. That's their market price. Can I... No, looks like I'm not able to see the... here we go. Show consumption on the map. So there's not really tons of steel consumption happening in the globe. There's a little bit here in New York and a little bit in Pennsylvania. Bit in Yorkshire and West Country. A bit in Burgundy and Lorraine, Rhineland, Westphalia, Wallonia. And that's it. Steel just really isn't doing much. Next thing we're going to research, actually, after researching the general staff, is intensive agriculture, followed by percussion cap. We're going to need to get these fertilizer plants and explosive factories up so we can get these percussion or these munition plants up so that we don't have to be importing munitions to upgrade to skirmish infantry. I know we got an iron shortage. We will import a bunch of iron from everybody who is willing to sell to us. And also, speaking of the market, yeah, this stuff that is unproductive, yeah, let's go ahead and get rid of that now. Tools, we can import some of these as well. This is, of course, biting into our bureaucracy, which is also a reason why, like I said, we want to have lots and lots of bureaucracy. It is very important for us because we're going to be importing a boatload of stuff, particularly early on here. Let's go ahead and kick this up to 4 speed because that's typically what we are going to be playing at. Now, this version of the game did, of course, introduce the new power block system. I will admit that just in my personal opinion, I don't find it particularly useful or interesting, as Austria at least, and I think it's mostly just because Austria's union is not particularly interesting. It's kind of a pain in the ass to get people in unless you are literally playing that way, which unfortunately I don't, because the main people that I would be doing it to are going to be the German miners, which I don't have a reason to try to bring them into my power block realistically. And then the Italian ones don't really matter because Italy's just kind of annoying to deal with. And of course I can't bring someone like Russia in to our power block, so because you know they already have one. They have the what is it, the Rossiyskaya Imperia. I definitely butchered that. Basically I think it just translates to Russian Empire. Roughly. What is Prussia's Zovirin? Okay. Speaking of, let's go ahead and embargo you. I know I literally just started importing, what was it? Tools from you? Yeah, we're gonna embargo you, however, as well. Let's see, what are the private sector building? Shipyards, logging camps, and fishing wharves. Wonderful, thanks guys. The big thing for us that's slowing this, you know, really, I think we can probably place those like at the bottom of the list. They don't matter too much. Let's focus on the iron mines. Those are going to help us the most in this regard. And yeah, I'm going to have to subsidize you so that you can get your employment up so that we can finish off this journal entry real quick. Just get your occupancy up to 90% and you'll be good to go. We'll get a little bit of prestige, I believe it was, for this one, if I recall correctly. I honestly don't recall in the slightest. I'm pretty sure it's prestige. But don't quote me on that. We'll see in just a few moments. Oh, shoot. Speaking of, completely unrelated to prestige, but the the percussion caps, if I recall correctly, I'm pretty sure they require sulfur mines, or they require sulfur from sulfur mines. So let's go and build one in Venetia real quick and get that queued up. I don't think we really need the cotton plantations, if I'm completely honest with you. That requires more clippers, and we don't have a lot of clipper production right now, because that comes from the shipyards, which aren't really producing a whole boatload. Nope, 89%. You didn't quite jump up to where I wanted you to save me time. Here we go. Isn't it romantic? Oh, excuse me. It's throughput, not even prestige. The reality is, I don't really think fine art production matters in the grand scheme of things. I mean, I'll take it. I don't think we're gonna be getting the extra, what is that, like 4 production that we would need to beat Great Britain, become #1, and of course we would not be holding that title for very long. But sure, we'll do that. Okay, we got up to 8. Yeah, we're not gonna get the plus 60 prestige for that. Oh, but the price went down. Yeah. Also, you're no longer being subsidized because I don't care for you guys. Sorry, not sorry. Okie dokie. So that was a nice, easy mission to just deal with real quick. Take care of that. You know, we never really took a good look at our population. Let's go ahead and slow down to 3 real quick for a bit. So our lower strata, which are going to be, you know, if we actually come into here, I think we can look at the lower strata. No, actually we can't. The lower strata are going to be our clerks, laborers, machinists, peasants, slaves. We don't have any, and servicemen. They are impoverished. They're actually below, of course, the average of the country, which is not surprising. It'd be a little bit weird if they were at or above the average. Our middle strata are going to be our academics, bureaucrats, clergymen, engineers, farmers, officers, and shopkeepers, and they're doing pretty well for themselves at 17.7. Middling. They can eke out an existence with a little bit of money to spare, potentially. Okay, Austria, no, or not Austria, Prussia just finally decided to embargo us back. And of course, our upper strata are going to be our aristocrats and capitalists, and they're affluent. They're doing great for themselves. Although they don't really have a ton of money. In excess, only 4% towards increasing their standard of living, 14.5% for the middle strata. Interestingly enough, the lower strata actually have quite a lot of money in excess that goes towards increasing their standard of living. It's a little bit surprising, if I'm completely honest. Let's see, their biggest thing that's impacting their needs. Well, the top two are going to be the cost of grain and the cost of clothes. Clothes are pretty damn expensive. They're 56% above the base price. We could do stuff to deal with that, of course, and we likely will in the future, just not right this second, because that's not an immediate requirement for us. Now, I could probably import grain, but we'd be losing money if we imported it on any of those import options that are available, so we're not going to do that. We'll just improve our grain production down the road. What's the main thing producing grain for us? Well, we have rye fields, which produce grain, and of course wheat farms that also produce grains. If we give them harvesting tools that will increase their production... Well, not really, but it could. The big thing, though, for it to actually do that would be that we would need to decrease the cost of tools to really be able to justify that. And tools are 42% over base price right now. Yeah, that's not happening right now. That's going to be a little while. But now, actually, I do want to go ahead and I think do one thing while we have the opportunity. We're going to go ahead and queue up a little bit extra of construction sectors. In fact, I think we're going to queue up 2 of them. We're going to space them out a little bit because they do provide local bonuses. We're going to queue 2 of those up so we have 10 total. This will, of course, increase our building costs because we'll be building more stuff faster, which means we're gonna lose more money, but we have a fair reserve right now. 1.83 million will survive for a little while. I'm just waiting to get an alliance here. How far off are we? We are 10 reluctance off from that. We are 1 off from a mutual investment agreement with Russia. If we can get the mutual investment agreement, I believe that will get us the alliance. Now, unfortunately, we can't do much to speed up the construction in Krakow because that is entirely dependent upon Krakow actually having a lot of construction, which they don't actually have a ton of construction. They have a total of 10 a week. So this one's going to take forever to build, unfortunately for us. So we're going to be relying a lot more on the one that we have in Lombardy. Now, there is one thing we could do. I don't believe Montenegro is particularly helpful for this. Yeah, no, not really. But we could... just, you know, a quick war. Nobody's going to come to their aid. I can tell you this right now. Well, maybe the Ottomans will, but if the Ottomans come to their aid, we'll just beat the shit out of the Ottomans. And I don't think they're going to come to the aid of Montenegro, because Montenegro doesn't even have the ability to defend itself. It has literally no army. So this is going to be a quick, easy war. Okay, we could do... Okay, you guys want us to go to cultural exclusion, which actually helps out quite a... Well, I should say it helps out quite a bit. It's a bit early, actually. Oh, no, it isn't. No, never mind. This will complete if Hungarian is not discriminated against. Well, how do we make it so that Hungary is no longer For Hungarian is no longer discriminated against. Well, as a culture, it is discriminated against, if we can find it. So it is of... So Hungarian is part of the European heritage because of our national supremacy, as our citizenship laws, which is a bit of a weird way to phrase it, but so be it. If there is not a cultural trait in common, we discriminate against those cultures. So South German and German are treated as, you know, equals because they both have the German speaking and European heritage. However, that's not the case here with Hungarian, because European heritage, you know, doesn't matter, I guess, for this. If we change to cultural exclusion, however, if we change to cultural exclusion, however, they would no longer be discriminated against because they would share a cultural trait with us. In this case, that would be the European heritage. In fact, really, we would basically stop discriminating against large parts of Central Europe, specifically because of that. It wouldn't, I mean, technically it would help with Northern Italy as well, but Northern Italy really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things for that. So let's see, we have a 56% support for this, largely with the intelligentsia supporting it. It would, however, radicalize the Austrian aristocracy, who are kind of annoying to deal with. So we are probably going to hold off on passing this right now, but this would be a very quick form Austria-Hungary. Does forming Austria-Hungary really impact things in any significant way? No, not in my experience. It's really just a color and flag change. We change from this white to like a brownish color, and then of course we get the Austro-Hungarian flag, which I kind of like the flag. Although the Austrian flag isn't necessarily bad either. Yeah, I would like to go ahead and get secular administrations in these buildings, if we don't mind. Thank you very much. It'll help us a little bit. Theoretically, it weakens the... In theory, it weakens the... God, what's the name of their group? I forget. The Catholic Church. Because these guys are mostly going to be comprised, if we actually go into our population census data. Is it in here? I'm pretty sure. I think it is. Yes. Let's go to clergy men. Oh, actually, we don't even really need to do that. We can just hover over it. They are 39.6% are supporting the Catholic Church, 33.9% the rural folk, 10.9% support the Austrian aristocracy, and 8.3% support the petite bourgeoisie, with 7.1% going to the other groups like the armed forces and the intelligentsia, as well as the other ones that aren't currently major, like the trade unions and industrialists. And they're, I guess they're doing well for themselves generally. They're actually sitting at a secure collectively across the entire country. Good for them. How are our servicemen doing? Oh, our servicemen are impoverished. Ooh, and some of them are struggling even. Damn, that's not great. I know what we need to do. We need to raise our budget for the army. We can't afford that right now, though, so that's gonna have to wait. But don't worry, it'll happen. I promise you guys. I literally have no reason... Excuse me, I literally have no reason not to increase these wages at some point in the future. I just don't have the money right now. What are we subsidizing, game? I just saw that we're subsidizing something. Okay, we are subsidizing trade centers. Is there a reason to subsidize the trade centers? I want to say not really. think the one in Croatia is the one using up most of it. No, or not. No. Well, okay. Well, we're subsidizing you guys at 2,000. Okay. But why am I needing to subsidize you guys? No, we're not going to subsidize you guys. That's going to save me 2 grand. You guys don't need the subsidies. You'll survive. And if you don't, then oh well. Yep, okay, nobody's supporting Montenegro, so that'll help us out significantly. How are we doing over here? Our iron mine in Lombardy is almost done. That's going to help to decrease this cost because we are spending $27,000. Well, not dollars, pounds, because that's the currency we use, pounds, of course, on iron mines. And yep, okay, just getting that one mine up, and it's not even fully operational yet, I can tell you that right now. Dropped the price a fair bit, and then it, of course, immediately went right back up once the war started. So, you know, don't count on anything being consistent here. Let's go ahead and get rid of those. Okay, we're gonna very quickly march in there and take what we want. Let's check and see what we have here in terms of options of imports. Oh, we will import some artillery from the Ottomans that we will then proceed to use to attack Montenegro. How is that iron mine doing out of here? Oh, hey, sulfur mine. Yeah, when you do finally get built, go ahead and actually, you know, put your resources into that. Lombardy. Here you are, Lombardy. Yeah, tools and coal are expensive. I know. We're working on it, though. We're working on it. It's just, it's gonna be a while. It's gonna be a little while. Oh, Two Sicilies wants a defensive pact. How about no? Okay. We are still trying to improve relations with the Russians, but it's not going quite as quickly as we would like. Oh. Well, if we declare Sweden a rival, that'll help us out a fair bit. Yep, there we go. We get the alliance. Thank you, Russia. Still not quite enough, apparently, for the investment agreement, apparently, which is interesting. Oh, Jesus Christ, Russia. I'm surprised you have such a large GDP for the 19th century. That is shocking in some ways. Okay, I can demobilize you guys because you're not needed anymore. That'll save us some money. Oh, apparently I spoke too soon. We actually are building this iron mine in Krakow fairly quickly. Are we using some of ours or something? Because yeah, this literally says Krakow produces 10 construction a week, but we are apparently pumping in 23. Yes, we are providing 23.8 of our own. Okay. Or excuse me, 23.08 rather. Okay. No, this is actually literally our contribution to getting that built. Okay, there we go. They declared us as a rival as well. Come on, Russia. Give me just those last 2 points I need to form the... Get the mutual... Well, I mean, I don't technically need the investment agreement with them, realistically. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Still want it, though. Because it helps to also keep them off our back a little bit more as well. That's gonna have to go for a fair while. We already have what we want selected, so as soon as they will agree to it, that war should automatically end right then and there. That'll help us out quite a bit. How are we doing here? iron is still the main thing that's just costing us a whole boatload. Do I want to subsidize the iron mines? I feel like that'd be expensive to subsidize the iron mines. Oh, Brazil's no longer exporting to us, apparently. Why was that, Brazil? Okay, well... we just declared the Swiss a rival, and they declared us a rival, but we're going to go ahead and form a trade agreement with them for iron. Just don't mind that. There we go. We have taken over the actual country of Montenegro, but we don't control the whole thing yet. There's still a bit of it that's controlled by the Ottomans. Not for very much longer, if given the opportunity. I mean, realistically, we could go to war with them right now if we really wanted to. But I don't have much of a reason to go to war with the Ottomans. And we'll get an opportunity in the very near future anyway. Once the... God, what's it called? Is it the Orient... I think it's called the Oriental Crisis, if I recall correctly. Something like that. Whatever it's called. Egypt and the Ottomans are going to have a spat in the relatively near future. And we can say, hey, Egypt, I'll help you against the Ottomans if you give me Montenegro. Or Tripolitania, even, which is what I did. Because I'm not in a real rush to take over Montenegro, honestly. I don't have much of a reason to try. Well, that's not true. I just don't have much of a reason to, you know, go out of my way to take it. More accurately. Okay, yeah, you really don't want to do this just because of the GDP difference, apparently, so we're gonna be waiting quite a while to get that one, unfortunately. Oh, that actually dropped a little. Ooh, this will no longer antagonize the Austrian aristocracy, which is slightly useful, but it's still gonna piss them off a lot. So I don't think we're gonna do that just yet. There we go. We got those tooling workshops finishing up. That will help us out a fair bit when it comes to the cost of some stuff. Oh, we got decision. Oh, yes, to survey the Suez Isthmus. Yeah, we're not doing that just yet. We don't have the 1,000 bureaucracy to spare for the however long it takes. I don't recall off the top of my head the duration, but it's a fair while. It'd be one thing if we were much further along in that regard. Now, I would love to get the National Guard. This will be helpful for us when it comes to dealing with all of the inevitable revolutions that will be occurring. So we're going to pass that. Ooh, wonderful. Sweet bourgeoisie got us treasury bonds now, so that'll help us out whenever we inevitably go into debt. That's still a ways out, though. We still have a fair budget. Yeah, it's still this damn iron that is so freaking expensive. Resources, iron mines. Where can I build more iron mines to get us more money? Bohemia. Let's queue up 3 more iron mines in Bohemia. Put those at the very bottom of the list because they're not that important for us. Silk plantation. I don't think we really need the silk plantations, guys. I don't think those matter for us. Well, Spain's improving relations with us. Good for you, Spain. Let's decrease the costs of... Why can I not? Oh, that's because that one's in Krakow, and Krakow apparently doesn't have the tech for atmospheric engines. Okay. Sure, I guess. I'm just gonna take your word for it. Oh, let's put sweeteners in our food. That'll help us out when it comes to decreasing the cost of food, which, you know, people need. Not that food is exactly expensive either, but hey, anything to make it even cheaper. Yes, butchering tools, thank you. I need that wheat to be cheap. Or not wheat, meat. Well, I guess and fabrics. Fabrics as well, but mostly the meat. Very quickly pass that to consideration. That's wonderful for us. Now, this will actually immediately drop our bureaucracy, I think, below 0, so that we will go into the negatives for a while. But once these government administration buildings are up and operational, that will get us back into the positive, so it shouldn't be for too long. Oh, clippers are expensive. Let's buy some from the Russians, the Greeks, Piedmont, Brits, and that's it. Iron, anyone we can import from and make money. Hanover and the Spanish. Thank you. Artillery, nobody that we can import from there and actually make money on it. No, I want to close that. Thank you. I don't need you to show it to me. Here we go. Let's get the mutual investment agreement with Russia here. Again, I don't really need this. At the end of the day, it really doesn't do much for us that matters significantly. So this just allows us to be able to build buildings in their country and vice versa. In theory, I think you get the goods. I believe that's how it works. I'm pretty sure you get the goods, not them. Unless they proceed to nationalize, which I've yet to have happen to me. I guess maybe it's just something the AI doesn't really do too much. Maybe, I don't know. But let's get that for what it's worth. Oh, discord within the Catholic Church. What's going on here? An influential faction within the Catholic Church has grown frustrated with their co-members' neutrality on the topic of National Guard. Themselves in favor of the law, they have now resolved to form a separate political faction intent on passing it. With their support, this bill shall pass. Decreases interest group attraction for the Catholic Church while also giving us a plus 15% enactment success chance. Or we can say the petite bourgeoisie extend an open hand to these mavericks. Do we want to encourage the petite bourgeoisie? Probably, realistically, to an extent. They're preferable to the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is only useful when they love you, but they also often get in your way. So if we can weaken them while making, oh god, yes, minus 15% to the Catholic Church, while also making the petite bourgeoisie a little bit happier, that'll be helpful for us. So let's go ahead and do that. And we still get a bit of a bump. It's not quite as much of a bump to success chance, but hey, whatever. I mean, really, it's only the intelligentsia that are against this. And we can make them happier by improving wages once we actually have money. But again, that's going to be a little while. Also, that's going to be the end of this part. I will see you all next time, where we will be continuing this series, of course. So So I will see you all next time, where we will be probably mostly focusing still a bit on our economy to try to get things going. Because the reality is I don't really plan to go to war with Prussia until we have skirmish infantry. Just for that little bit of a bump in an advantage it can potentially give us. So I say that, but I don't know if Prussia might already have it, might have already gotten it if we're unlucky. Oh, okay. We'll do it this way, thank you. Oh, yeah, no, Prussia already has it, so, yeah. We really need to get skirmish infantry just to, you know, close the gap, even. Because we are currently running around with line infantry, if I recall correctly. Yep, line infantry. They're better than our regulars, but they're worse than line infantry. They've got a difference of 5 on offense, so I mean, offense isn't really the big thing. Infantry is mostly for defense. It's your artillery that gives you your offense damage. And cavalry give you your, it's not actually shown up here, but their big thing is more so the battle occupation, so how much you occupy after a successful battle, so that you can actually push the front. If you min-max, you would generally probably build an army that is primarily focused on defense, which is basically just going to be infantry, and then an army that's focused on offense, which is going to have some infantry, because if you don't have enough infantry, you take a penalty to your artillery and cavalry. So you would have just enough infantry to not take that penalty, but it would be largely comprised of artillery and cavalry. And it should be noted, this is basically the max that you can have on artillery and cavalry, is however much infantry you have. So realistically, you would be doing, you know, with something like this, you'd probably do 25-25 or something, or some other combination. I don't really care for that, to be completely honest with you. I actually still tend to build fairly infantry heavy armies. But yeah, that is something to keep an eye out on. But yeah, so we need to get skirmish infantry just to close the gap with Prussia to help us out. So yeah, we're gonna want that. But like I said, that's gonna be it for this part. I will see you all next time. So yeah, we'll probably still be focusing mostly on our economy, trying to get it started. And then maybe the part after that, depending on how the wind blows, we will potentially be going to war with Prussia to liberate Westphalia out here. Because by liberating Westphalia, we will have, well, taken over a lot of the industry of Prussia, and then what little bit they have in the Rhineland will be separated from the rest of Prussia. And then that'll help us out quite a bit in weakening Prussia for the future. If we get them weak enough, we can exploit that to be able to peacefully get them to support us when it comes time for German unification. But we'll see. They could also manage to actually rebuild and just stay above, preventing us from doing that. But yeah, so we'll see how this all goes. I would love to do it peacefully, because then I only have to worry about France. And that makes German unification much easier. But I'll see you all next time, like I said. Until then, goodbye and farewell.